Hi, I'm Danny Carrender with Central Florida Lifestyle. Today I am here with Waylon Krush, CEO and founder of Krush Acquisitions and more specifically Krush Brau Park, which is where we are here today. And we stopped by this fine establishment to speak about the history of both him and this beautiful place. So with that being said, Waylon, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Sure. South Dakota is a wonderful place. It's diverse and it has extremes. And what I mean by that is all of the seasons are extremes. In the winter, it's extremely cold. In the summer, it's extremely hot. And, in the fall, all the leaves, they're amazing and it feels like a real fall. In the spring, things grow. So to me, it's like if you've ever watched the videos of what fall, spring, winter, and summer could be, South Dakota fits that in many ways. And it's very diverse too. A lot of people think because we do make a lot of the wheat and a lot of the corn, that that's all that's there. But we actually have a desert. We have the Badlands, and it's amazing. We have the Black Hills, which is this beautiful mountainous area. We have Mount Rushmore. We have the Missouri River. A lot of the banks are located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is interesting because we also have pretty good laws if you're running a company. And where I grew up was kind of the middle of the prairie. So it was literally just an area that was very dry in the summer and super wet when the snow would start to melt. So in my family, and this is a fairly normal thing in a lot of families in the Midwest, is you're basically a military family. And what that really means is that, your grandfather, your father, and if you're the oldest son, which I am, you're most likely expected to join the military. Actually, my mother wasn't completely on board, which is very interesting. But growing up around my grandfather, my father, and even a lot of my uncles served in the military. So it was one of those things that was just a requirement in the family, I'll call it that. And I think it was a very respected one. But nonetheless, I looked at Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps because I'm trying to decide what I wanted to do. But I always go back to my father's story. He was in Vietnam, and he just had these pictures and the camaraderie that he had there. Literally, when they came back, it was them versus the world almost, right? And they stuck together through thick and thin, and it was a really powerful message for me, and I think that's why I chose the Army.
And during your time in the Army, you were stationed in Germany?
Yes, I was actually so lucky. When you go into the military, they give you a list of, what's the top places you want to go. And I will admit, a lot of people don't always get them, but my first choice was I wanted Hawaii. My second choice was Germany, and then I wanted Alaska, which I know that sounds kind of weird too. But nonetheless, I like the extremes. I grew up in the extremes, and I'd never really been out of South Dakota. I've been to Montana, I've been to Colorado, Nebraska, and some of the surrounding areas. I was actually born in Wyoming. But growing up in South Dakota allowed me to really look for the extremes. And I thought Germany was an extreme because it was strange to me, right? It was Europe. You see the pictures of the castles and you just see the whole kind of culture. And it's a culture that in the Midwest, you can see it in different towns and cities if you go there, right? You see places like Czechoslovakia, Poland, Romania, Ukraine, and Germany. There's small towns like that. So I think it made an impact and I wanted to visit it. The one thing that always sticks out is the day I showed up in Germany. I was 19 years old. I walked into the bar and I had read that I was allowed to order beer. And I was actually very happy about that, but I didn't trust it. I was like, well, they could be saying this, but I'm on an American base and I'm going into this German bar. And I go in and I'm kind of shaking. I also look like I'm 12 or 13 at this point too. Remember, I'm not that tall. I looked young at the time. And so I walked in and I ordered a beer. And it's one of those things I just, will never forget that they brought me a beer. They didn't ask any questions. They sat it down. And the truth is, I didn't even like beer at the time. It was more of just one of those things I was trying to do to prove I could do it. But I drank it. But it was a German beer. I will never forget that. It was the point in my life where I went from hating beer to loving beer. During that period, I'd only been on base 2 days. And some of my friends, my American friends, are like, we're going to Oktoberfest. You're coming with. And they were nice enough to let me join. And I really didn't know the extent of Oktoberfest at that point, but I was like, I always say yes. So I went and it was a life-changing event also. That's a great question too. So I owned a cybersecurity company for many years. Actually, it was 17 years when I finally sold it. But I was headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. And as it grew, we actually had contracts all over US and all over the world. So, but some of my largest contracts were actually in Florida. So I had on MacDill Air Force Base, I had CENTCOM and SOCOM and some of the other entities that are there. But I also had PEO STRI, which is in Orlando, and they're one of the training organizations. So my cybersecurity company did training, we did security operations, we did different types of cyber defense, and we built tools for the government and commercial. And so Central Florida, I knew about it. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the parks. I mean, you can't forget that Universal, Disney, SeaWorld, and even FunSpot are right here. So it's this great place. But it was really my family was the thing that moved me to Central Florida. My in-laws, I was traveling a lot for work, and I would travel out of DC, and I'd be gone for a week here, a week there, and it was this constant being gone. Well, we had a young daughter at this point, and so my in-laws would fly to DC, and they had to make DC their second home because that's where the grandchild was. And I thought that was kind of unfair to them. So I told my wife, we're moving to Florida. I can't move to the beach. I got to move where there's an airport, a good airport. And I love Tampa. It was definitely on my high list, but we picked Central Florida because we had a young child. It's very family oriented here. I mean, it's probably the most family oriented place on earth. And we felt that by coming here too. And then secondly, my in-laws spent 6 months out of the year here. So it was moved to Michigan, which I love Michigan, but it's cold. I already dealt with that from South Dakota, or moved to Central Florida where we have a winter, but you really can't call it that if you ever came from the Midwest. So I chose Orlando. I think everybody has a really big goal in their life, right? Something that affected them significantly. And I was affected by just the German culture, the fest, and Oktoberfest. I mean, it was an amazing event to me. Don't get me wrong, the local fests and the celebrations were super important, but Oktoberfest is just this, it's kind of like the mega con of beer fests. And so it truly was something that was impactful to me, the food, the music, the dancing, just that way that people interacted. And it was something that I believed that we needed to replicate here in Central Florida. And the reason I say that is because I also, I've been to Cincinnati. They have Wisconsin is a great place if you want German restaurants. Helen, Georgia, places in Michigan. They got entire parts of towns that are like where you find the best food, German culture, and also, of course, the beer. So I really wanted to do that here. And I felt like we have some good German restaurants here, but I don't feel they take it to the level that it needs to go to replicate that real Oktoberfest feeling 365 days out of the year. And that's what we're building here. All of them. They're all wonderful. But I can tell you one of my most favorite is the sausages. We actually go all the way to Wisconsin because there's a German family there that makes some of the best German sausages. They use the old recipes and we import them from there. So if you've ever eaten our sausages here, you're probably like, wow, that feels very authentic. And that is very purposeful for us. Of course, the schnitzels, a lot of people I don't like schnitzel, but you like breaded chicken, right? You like breaded pork, right? You like schnitzel. So I think it's the word schnitzel that turns a lot of people off. And then last but not least, the doner kebabs. If you've ever been in Germany and you've ever looked for something to eat after midnight, you will find a doner kebab. And we actually have doner kebabs here and they taste so good. So my favorite events that we've hosted is one right now, Oktoberfest. So if you come here, you're gonna, get the food, the alcohol, the entertainment you would expect in an Oktoberfest. And then of course, recently we did Dogtoberfest. It was amazing. We had over 350 people show up. Everyone had their cute little dogs dressed up. We had dog beer and pretzels and a lot of the humans dressed up too. So that was really fun. And then we do something here a little bit different called KrampusCon. And we're celebrating, it's actually celebrating Krampus, which, in the US, we have the naughty list. In Germany and Austria, they have Krampus. A little bit different. You're on the naughty list, you don't get gifts. In Germany and Austria, if Krampus comes to your house, he takes your kids, he takes them to his lair and he eats them. So, it's a little bit different thought process. And so we do KrampusCon, we do a big walk with all the Krampuses. We have a haunt. So you can walk through Krampus's laser swamp into his lair. We're having a Krampus ball this year. We're having a Krampus art contest. So we're getting all these artists from all over the US that focus in on Krampus type art, and it'll be displayed in here all over the place. So I'm looking forward to that. But one of the new ones we're doing this year that I'm really excited about is we're gonna do a Ren Fest this year. So we're doing a Renaissance Fest You're going to take the whole kind of 10 acres here and turn it into a Renaissance festival. And we're right next to medieval times, so I think it's a good fit. We're also, if you start driving down 192 and you see the Krush Brau building, and as you see the ones we're building over here, you're going to notice from our block all the way to the end where medieval times is, we have all these castles, and it's starting to look like a little Helen, Georgia on 192. Favorite German culture fact? That's a good one. So I think that the one that is the most important to me is they celebrate everything. Oktoberfest, everyone knows about that. But if you go to Germany, they have a lot more holidays than us, and they're on holiday a lot more than us. But I think that the small things there to the large things, they put entire celebrations behind them. And I think that that's a feeling we would like to bring here to Central Florida. It's like you went to a birthday party in Germany, your Geburtstag. It's completely different than you go to a birthday party here. It's also kind of like that tradition of like the beer in Germany will change your mind. Even if you don't like beer, I would ask you to come actually try a German one. And I've recently done this to a few of my friends. They don't like beer, and now they go and pick up German beers at the ABC all the time. Right now you're in the Portal Immersion Center. So a lot of people come here. We have escape dinners, right? And they're based on the Brother Grimm stories. So we've done Rumpelstiltskin, Three Little Pigs. And the one thing you're going to notice about this place, we have Snow White coming up, is that it's actually being completely redone to look like a German building. So you'll see the architecture outside's changing, the painting, the interior, all that type of stuff. And we consider this like phase 1B. In about 2 weeks, the WEC, that's the World Entertainment Center, that's gonna open up. That's where we have the huge fest tent. It's outside. You'll have a lot of these tables and stuff like that. And that will be some changeover for the Oktoberfest. But if you're patient, I know everyone has been, they've been asking, we're gonna open the Biergarten open. And it's been one of those projects where we've continually run into snags, whether it be materials, whether it be the design. We had several hurricanes that brought us back to nothing again, but we're not giving up on it. And so that is going to be a full replica of a German fest tent. You're going to walk in there and you're going to see the wooden rafters, the canvas, you're going to see the live music, and you're going to be in a German fest tent. You're going to feel like you're Oktoberfest. The big part of the park, the rear area that everyone, if you remember, we bought Jungleland Zoo, which has a bunch of cages in the back and the animals, and we're infamous because the lion got away here and they shut him down. But one thing to know, we're working on the back right now also. We're putting a lot of the underground infrastructure. We call that phase 3. And we have 13 different countries of food, restaurant, bars, stores going in the back. And so you'll see a lot more international festivals. So the front looks European and German, but we'll have 13 other countries, and we're gonna bring all our celebrations here to Krush Brau Park. We already have the menus planned. We have animatronics here. So we have animatronics. We replace the animals that either got away or no longer here. You've probably seen if you come to our events, like, why do they have animatronics? Well, this used to be a zoo. So we're playing an ode to the zoo, and we have several countries coming. We have Spain, if you were gonna ask that. One of the countries that is probably underrepresented here, but has a large population, is Brazil. We'll have that. We'll have China. We actually have Japan. We'll have Speakeasy we're building back there. So you'll have all the great sakis and sushi. We're doing the Wailing Wall from Israel. We have the Hand from Vietnam. We'll have that. And a Cuban cigar bar. We'll have Brazilian food. And of course, I love Puerto Rico. I go there 4 to 5 times every year. We're gonna have Puerto Rico. So we'll have a lot of the traditional foods and drinks that you would get there. Of course, we'll have France, we'll have Canada. We'll have a lot of places that, there's a large population that either lives here or comes here. And so you'll see that, and we'll be celebrating their fest. So Canada, it's the Canadian Independence Day, we'll be doing that here. Or if there's big celebrations you're used to from other countries, they'll actually happen.
One more question.
Carnival. We actually have Carnival this year coming to Krush Brau Park. So it will be much more international. Right now, a lot of people only think about we're very German focused, which we are. The front of the park is European and German focused, but it's going to be a real international venue.
Exactly. It's going to be drinking around the world, but way more affordable. So that means, therefore, a lot more people will be coming through here.
Exactly. So that's a good point, Danny, that's one of our missions. So I wasn't able to go to Walt Disney World until I joined the Army, and I loved it. So, I got to stay at Shade of Greens. Thank you, Walt. And it changed my life. And I was like, why? I'm 19 years old. I'm going to this place for the first time ever. It's such a wonderful thing, but it's because my family just could never afford to bring us here. So what I want to do is bring a lot of that magic to everybody. And so my plan and everybody that's on our team here, our mission is to make it the most affordable place you can bring everybody to, and they can have that same level of enjoyment. So, the one phrase that I learned in Germany is Bier. And it does not have an equivalent. It's not just beer, because if you've ever actually drank German beer, there's no equivalent. So that's the one phrase. I know it's just a word, but it's a phrase. You can say ein Bier, zwei Bier, depending on how you're counting with your fingers, but it is something different. And I would ask everybody out there, even if you're not a big fan of beer, come here, drink a beer. Maybe you're a fruity person. We have fruity beer too. We have grapefruit beers, and still German beer, and you'll like it. So come drink some of our beers. Forward to everybody visiting us and coming and watching how we change. You'll already notice, if you've ever been here before, that a lot of things are changing in the park, and we have a lot of growth ahead of us.